I think the time is on the clock, okay? So let me start first. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pak Mr. Susanto, Mr. Ahmad Yusuf Aditama. For those who not know me, I'm Rossi Pasarella as a moderator, and I like to welcome you today to IPNET, Embedded and Network System session presentation and discussion. So before we are starting the presentation, let me check first who have attended this session. Yeah? On my list, there are 13 papers present. So to set the event in order, I will follow the sequence that the organizer gave to me. Yeah? The first paper is a vision sensor for robotic navigation using detection of moving face analysis. This paper will present by Ahmad. Is it correct? Ahmad Yusuf Aditama?
Yes.
The second paper is a pre-processing for dimensionally reduction in botnet IoT detection. Work on progress. This paper we present by Susanto, Mr. Susanto.
Yes.
Is it correct?
Yes.
Okay. So until now, only both of you is attend this session. Yeah. So for your information, each paper will take 25 minutes for presentation, and each presenter only have 15 minutes. So we have 10 minutes for question and discussion. As a moderator, I hope that the audience can be participate at the question and discussion. However, I will allow only one question for each paper. Do you understand the game rules for our session? Do you understand the game rules for our session? Only one question for each paper in question and discussion.
Yes, I understood.
Okay, so let me start the session, okay? For the first present, Mr. Ahmad Yusuf Aditama will present the paper with the title Vision Sensor for Robot Navigation using Detection of Moving Face Analysis. For Mr. Ahmad Yusuf Aditama, the time and the place is yours.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I would like to say thank you for inviting me in this conference. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ahmad Yusuf Aditama, and I am from Computer Engineering major. And in this opportunity, I would like to present about my paper. The title of my paper is Vision Sensor for Robot Navigation using Detection of Moving Face Analysis. And this is our research team, consists of Mr. Ahmad Zarkasi, myself, Ahmad Yusuf Aditama, Mr. Huda Ubaya, Mrs. Sridesi Siswanti, and Mr. Muhammad Nawar Atalaza. Introduction. Object detection is one of studies of image processing and pattern recognition. In the object detection method, the computer can detect and sort each object contained in the image. One of in object detection is face detection. The face detection principle can analyze facial areas by distinguishing between facial features from all patterns recorded on the camera. So the machine can detect face well and can also be influenced by lighting, display position, color, shadow, noise, or image resolution. In this paper, we will discuss how facial features can control the robot motion system. The technique used in this discussion is if the robot recognizes certain facial features, then the robot will move forward toward that face. To detect facial features, the system uses the HAR feature in pre-trained classifier. If the HAR feature detects a face on the camera, the robot tries to recognize the owner of the face. If the face owner is an input, the system will recognize the face identity and detect the face scale on the camera. Then the robot will move forward face ownership with the scale of the face on the camera reaching the specified limit. The face position on the camera will always be centered on the detection area by moving the motor servo around the camera's neck. Research methodology. And this is the hardware architecture. The hardware architecture is a design of hardware system development. There are two main hardware components that will be used in this paper, namely Raspberry Pi and Arduino Uno. The image below is a hardware architecture, where the Raspberry Pi will use as image processing data that has been contained from the camera. The process consists of face and eye detection, feature extraction, and then the output. The output data will be sent to Arduino for further processing. The data that has been received will be processed and used as a mobile robot navigation system. The target of this mobile robot is a face that has been recognized by the previous system. This image is an algorithm design of the system. The input is a face that has been obtained from the camera. The image will be processing using the HAR cascade method for the face detection. After a face has been found on the camera frame, the process will be continued to facial recognition. The method used in this process is teaser face. The output of the software development is a face that has been successfully recognized. After that, the next process will be carried out by the hardware. Result and analysis. The result of the experiment performed will be discussed in this section. The data retrieval process consists of three processes, namely displaying the boundaries of the face position and the area of the face, displaying the test on face detection, displaying the robot movement. This table is the result of facial recognition. In this experiment, we want to see whether the system can recognize face based on eye characteristics. The experiment was conducted with two people, where each person was given 10 facial images, then will be given a threshold value to sort out recognized and unrecognized face. If the face has distance that exceeds the threshold value, it can be said that the face doesn't match with the face in the database. Based on the distance, value that have been obtained, the threshold value will be set at 21. Those images that have a distance value above 21 will be deemed in compatibility with the database. The percentage of successful facial recognition can be calculated using this formula. That is, recognized face divided by all of the sample and times 100%, and the result is 85%. Based on the previous table, it can be seen that the error of red nose face data has been smaller than Yusuf face data. This error can be occurred due to the distance between the face and the camera that is too far, and also the difference in lighting intensity of a room. The result graphic can be seen in this image texting. The x-axis consists of 1 to 10 representing of number of experiments, and the w-axis is represent as the result of distance obtained. From this recognition process, a data can be made by containing the processing time. From this data, a graph containing 100 processing time that data can be made. The graph of the result of processing time can be seen in this processing time figure. When the system recognizes a face, the graph at the processing time will be increased. Meanwhile, when the system doesn't recognize a face, the graph will drop. At the time of the graph above, the recognizing processing time obtained is around 0.015 seconds and above, and when the system fails to recognize a face, the processing time is around 0.001 seconds. After the system successfully recognizes a face, the mobile robot will move based on the user face position. The frame size that will be used is 240 pixels. 2 motor servo will be used to move the camera position. This servo mount horizontally and vertically to follow the face position. The graph of motor servo movement is shown on this figure. And two motor DC are used as a mobile robot actuators. An ultrasonic sensor here will be used in order the mobile robot can stop when it's close to a face. The mobile robot will stop when the ultrasonic sensor detects an obstacle within 30 centimeters. And this figure is the graph from motor DC movement. Conclusion: from the tests that have been done, this system can perform facial recognition using pixel face with a success rate of 85% and an error of 15%. The used servo motor can move from angle 0 to angle 118 based on the face position, while the DC motor used has a pulse width modulation or PWM of 0 when stopping, 75 for both motors when moving forward, 50 for the right motor, and 100 for the left motor when turning right. 100 PWM for the right motor and 50 PWM for the left motor when the robot turning left. Okay, I think that's enough. Thank you very much for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Ahmad Yusuf Aditama. Okay, now we are in the second session that is ask our question and discussion. So, any question from the audience?
Yes, I want to question. I from question from Richard. Use method they use filter extraction. What
Okay,
is filter extraction method?
The feature extraction method is here I'm using phase that has been extraction using hard cascade, and the and for the extraction I'm using hard cascade too, and for the recognition for recognizing that phase I'm using Fisher phase method.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we follow the rule of games for our session. I just only allow one question for each paper. So please give applause to Mr. Ahmad Yusuf Aditama that has been present their research. Thank you. So for the next presenter, it will be my friend, Mr. Susanto. He will be present a paper with the title "A Pre-Processing for Dimensionally Reduction in Botnet IoT Detection Work on Progress." So for my friend, Mr. Susanto, times and the place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rossi. The second International Conference on Information System, Computer Science and Engineering, with title Pre-Processing for Dimensionality Reduction in Botnet IoT Detection Work on Progress, with author Susanto, Agus Samsul Arifin, Dery Setiawan, Zulhipni Reno Saputra, Muhammad Yazid Idris, and Rahmat Budiarto. Introduction. Yan et al. State that data preprocessing is one of the approaches used in IoT malware detection research. Based on the research, racial in dimensionality reduction is a data preprocessing technique that is very important for large-scale data classification tests. Praharshita et al. State the objective of dimensionality reduction is to increase accuracy by using low data storage that increase processing speed and accuracy for reduction of duplication data. Can be used in limited storage space, measurement of counts unwanted data for data reduction, and perform repetitive data deletion. In addition, Fan et al. State that using dimensionality reduction technique in machine learning can optimize the function of computational resource, can use parameter freely, and can reduce computational complexity and memory. Furthermore, Zaki and Meira state that dimensionality reduction can be used to solve the course of dimensionality problem, and can also be used to reduce the redundancy data, discovery of intrinsic structure, removal of irrelevant filter, extraction filter, visualization, and computational and machine learning perspective. This paper proposes a dimensionality reduction method to improve machine learning performance, overcome the problem of overcoming scalability data and reduce duplication data using the linear discriminant analysis, fast independent component analysis, random projection, truncated singular value decomposition, principal component analysis method. After reduction the dimension that selected filters are classified using multi-classification method, KNN, decision tree, and random forest. Proposed method, the dataset and bias used in this study has unbalanced class distribution of traffic and attack capture from a testbed network traffic. In the classification experiment using scikit-learn, the same amount of data was used. The research only used 20% of the NBIOS data set that was taken flat as class from as Davis. The experiment we use Python 3.0 with library scikit-learn for dimensionality reduction method as machine learning algorithm. The classification method used to perform the analysis using decision tree, random forest, and KNN. Evaluated performed using accuracy, execution time, sensitivity, specificity, precision, confusion metric, false positive rate, false negative rate metric to determine the ideal and relevant method for IoT botnet detection. This is the set of preprocessing dimensionality technique. From the GSP and bias dataset data, preprocessing was carried out using the dimensionality reduction method, namely FastICHA, LDA, random projection, PCA, TSVD, using 2, 3, 5, 10, and 15 filter. Then the classification is done with multi-classification, namely KNN, random forest, and decision tree. Then the voting is carried out based on the high accuracy. Primary result, accuracy. In the primary result, LDA in high accuracy, then decision tree 99.17%, KNN 99.69%, and random forest 99.88%. A conclusion and future works. This work has considered great number of research work related to IDS, include IoT botnet detection. It can be concluded that research agree on the benefit of dimensional reduction approach to improve the performance of IDS in terms of accuracy. Preliminary result of the proposed preprocessing dimensionality reduction approach show promising result and perform improvement of the IoT botnet detection. This result will soon enter the massive implementation phase where the use of the dimensionality reduction method will be evaluated using accuracy, execution time, sensitivity, specificity, precision, confusion metric, false positive rate, false negative rate metric to determine the ideal and relevant method for IoT botnet detection. Thank you for attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Susanto. So, any question from the audience? If nobody answer, nobody question, so I will deliver one question for Mr. Susanto. So, when I saw a method, the flowchart method that you propose, at the end of your flowchart, you are putting a voting from the KNN,
decision tree, and random forest.
Okay, because as I know, the vote between three methods, it should be equal and balanced. Yeah. So what your propose for voting which are the best method from decision tree, KNN, and random forest. What the proposed method that will use for voting? Is it score card balance or whatever? Can you explain that?
Voting in proposed method from propose is KNN with accuracy, high accuracy.
Oh, using the convolution metric and something like that?
No. From accuracy for voting.
You just look at the accuracy.
Yes.
From 3 proposed method, which one the best?
Yes.
So at the end, which one the best? Decision tree or KNN or random forest?
KNN.
KNN. Okay. Very nice work progress, Mr. Susanto. I hope you will finish your study. And please give applause for Mr. Susanto. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi.
Okay, for the next presenter, it will be one of my friend again, Mr. Agus Arifin. He will be present the paper with the title Machine Learning Approach for Port Scanning Activity Detection on SCADA Network. For Mr. Agus Arifin, the time and the place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rossi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will present our paper with the title Machine Learning Approach for Port Scanning Activity Detection on SCADA Network. The author of this paper is myself, Susanto, Dery Setiawan, Muhammad Yazid Idris, and Rahmat Budiarto. Port scanning is the initial step of computer network attack performed by an intruder with the aim to seek vulnerability of open port in the network. In modern SCADA system require interconnection to other network protocol to make it easy to monitor and control SCADA device, which is increase vulnerability in the SCADA system. In this study, focus on IAC 108705104 SCADA protocol. The protocol is a type of IAC 104 protocol that implement TCP protocol and calculation prior to transmission, so that the treatment in detection port scan in SCADA network using IAC 104 protocol is not much different from a traditional computer network. This study use support vector machine algorithm with 4 different kernel, such as SVM linear, SVM radial basis function or RBF, SVM sigmoid, and SVM polynomial kernel in creating IDS model for port scanning activity detection on SCADA network. In our proposed work, simulating attack on the dataset carried out in the study are the man-in-middle attack or METM attack, which target on the is a remote terminal unit by change the packet cost of transmission in one of the RTU. However, Before taking this action, the attacker will be generally carry out port scanning activity. Raw data obtained from a SCADA network testbed using the IEC-104 protocol. In the testbed used there are 5 RTU, 1 HMI, 1 historian server, 1 recognized device, and 1 MTM device or machine. Communication from each device in the testbed is recorded and stored in file with the PCAP extension. Then extract to CSV form by taking the necessary data pre-processing or data cleaning process. This is the proposed method for finding the best classification kernel algorithm on the SVM. The raw data with PCAP format, which contain data communication from SCADA traffic, which contain MITM attack. But every attack on a network is always preceded by port scanning activity, as I explained earlier. From the raw data, the pre-processing process is then carried out. Step for the pre-processing, process dataset extraction to CSV format and do data cleaning. Then do labeling and normalization of data. Feature selection is put by characteristic of port scanning activity on SCADA network. Comparing result for kernel of SVM algorithm doing based on true positive rate or TPR, false positive rate or FPR, F-measure, accuracy, and training time for base kernel in this study. This is a port scan behavior. This study used the source port feature as the target host and TCP flag to determine port scan activity originating from source port in the SCADA network. This is combination of SYN ACK, RST ACK, and ACK. The target port is 2404. This is a default port SCADA. 5434. This is default port PostgreSQL. 5910. This is default port from VNC. 1521. This is default port of Oracle. And then 1433. This is default port from Microsoft SQL. And 3306. This is default port MySQL. Port 80. This is default port HTTP. 8443 and 443. This is HTTPS port, and 22 for default port SSH port. The target respond with RST ACK. This means the port is closed. But if the target respond with SYN ACK, this means the port is open. The port scanning activity detection model use a machine learning algorithm and generate using the training data. Then the model performance is measured. Metric for evaluating the model performance include the true positive, true negative, false positive, and false negative value as shown in the confusion metric. This is a result from this work. The number of record in the dataset after normalization process was 188,600 record with 162,035 normal data and 26,295 port scan activity data. The dataset was split into two data, 70% training data and 30% testing data. That's for the 70% data is contained 132,020 for normal data, for training data, and 56,580 for testing data. In the test data or 30% data, the normal data packet were for 48,453, and the data packet contain port scan activity as many 1,127. For training data or 70% data, normal packet data are 133,170, and packet data that contain port scan activity are 18,815. From this table, on testing data, the best kernel for SVM for the create the model machine learning for detection port scanning is RBF and polynomial. This is get 98% accuracy, but in 70% data, polynomial get a good accuracy with 98.81. This is a confusion metric from the work. For validation the data, training time result in the training time dataset or 30% data for kernel have a same time for finish the training, but in the 70% data, RBF get good timing for scan for training data. Now, conclusion and future work. From the experimental result, the performance of polynomial SVM and RBF SVM have the best detection for performance on the testing dataset with accuracy 98.78% and pre-processing time of the 4 seconds. However, in term performance on training dataset, the performance of the polynomial SVM is slightly better than RBF SVM with an accuracy 98.81%. However, the RBF SVM has better processing time. For the future work, I plan to conduct experiment on detection on malicious activity and the dataset, because during dataset exploration, there are other vulnerability are found in the SCADA network where the payload is the record in dataset. Various machine learning algorithm will be experiment to observe this performance. Thank you for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Agus Arifin. Very good research. So now we are going to the second session of your presentation. Any question for the audience? If nobody give the question to the presenter, it will be my job to give the question for the presenter. So, Mr. Agus Arifin, you mentioned before that your data set yes, is taking from raw data machine.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then you mentioned that in pre-processing, your data set will be cleaning, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me, don't hesitate me, but I just to give you the philosophy that if we take the data from the machine, and we put in the bulky, we are calling it as database. Okay? This is different term between database and dataset. Dataset meaning from database we have process cleaning, blank, 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 blank. Then the result is dataset.
Yes.
Okay? So this is the case when we took the data directly from machine. Directly, I call it directly. So if your research, you took data from machine, it's supposed to be say as database. After your cleaning in pre-processing, then you can call it is data set. Okay? I'm so sorry, but this is the philosophy. Okay? This is different. But different when the data already got the processing, blah, 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 and someone published, they call data set. Because it already have what you call treatment, special treatment, and ready for another proposed activity. So this is the suggestion for you. So for the future in discussion. So thank you very much, Mr. Agus Arifin. Nice to see you in the athlete safe. Nice hair. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck and success for your PhD.
Thank you.
For next presenter, it will be Ria Siti Juwairiyah. Okay. She will be present the paper with the title Sentiment Analysis and Public Habit Detection regarding Smart City on Social Network Data. For Ria Siti Juwairiyah, time and the place is yours.
Okay. Yeah. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. Okay. I'm sorry, I have to prepare something. Okay. So, my name is Ria Siti Juwairiyah. I'm the author and presenter of this session. Previously, thank you to the committee and Mr. Rossi for allowing me to make this presentation. Okay, well then I will immediately present the paper that we have made. The paper is entitled Sentiment Analysis and Public Habit Detection regarding Smart City on Social Network Data. This is a collaboration between Ria Siti Juwairiyah, Mr. Huda Ubaya, Mr. Rossi Pasarella, and Mr. Ahmad Berkasi. Okay, the first slide. In the first slide, I will explain about a big picture of our paper. There are some big keywords in this paper. It's Duran imprint, naive bias, a maximum entropy, sentiment analysis, and smart city. Okay, you can see it in my slide. The next is the main idea of this paper. So the topic is sentiment analysis and smart city, and the object is all countries all around the world, and the goal is to detect public habits towards smart city technology and sentiment analysis parameters. The data set we use is big data from Twitter, These were collected and visualized using the drone imprint. Okay. The next, I will explain about the introduction. So this is the reason why we using some keywords in our paper. The first is we using smart city. Why we using smart city? It's because the smart city is new point that can support the progress of world context today. And the second is Twitter has a very high number of users in Indonesia, with ranking 8 in the world. And hashtag as clustering or filters based on certain types of topics on Twitter. The next is we using Drone Imprint platform. It's largest big data site in Indonesia that focus on observing data on Twitter. And then the next is our method. We're using NavBias. It can process very large data in a short and accurate time. And the last is sentiment analysis. The detection of public opinion can be one way to find out how citizens feel about this technology. So it seems like parameters. Okay. The next is methodology. We have two methodology right here. We have pre-processing and processing. And pre-processing, we convert the raw data from Twitter until it is readable. The process includes segmentation and tokenization, text cleaning, sectorization and feature engineering, text limitation and stemming. And the last is process of machine learning algorithms and interpretation of the result. Okay, and in the processing section, the dataset will be processed using algorithms such as NavBias and maximum entropy. Okay, the next slide is about the tile about our dataset. The search is Twitter. We're using Drone Imprint platform to raw the data. And the time span was, the time span is from first day on January 2018 to first day on January 2020. The total is 381,362 data. Okay. The object was, we observed were tweets from all over the world, and the number of analytical sentiments we got was definitely 70% negative, 16% positive, and 13% neutral. The next is result. We have a chart right here. I'm so sorry for the quality. Okay. Then we will enter the main part, namely results. First, you can see on the chart. The chart is data from the 10 countries with the most tweets about smart city. This data makes India the first country to have the most tweets about smart city. The next slide is sentiment analysis by country. Okay, the tile information can be seen in this table. This is from previous chart. These countries are India, United States, France, United Kingdom, United States, Canada, Spain, Hong Kong, Indonesia, and China. So from the table, it can be seen that the United States has the largest difference in negative and positive opinions, namely 81% negative and 12% positive. Okay. The next slide is analysis sentiment by month. There were two periods of tweet spike from January 2018 till January 2020. Okay. So first, you can see the chart. This is the first period. Tweet users were active from mid-October 2018 till January 2019 and began to decline in mid-July 2019 till October 2019. The next is second period. The sentiment is Meanwhile, this increase in tweets occurred again in the second period from mid-October 2019 to early January 2020. The frequency of tweets in this period tended to be low with a total of below 300. Okay. The next is the third period. However, this period saw more optimistic sentiment with the dominance of tweets labeled positive. Total positive labels reached to 2,337 tweets, or 68% of all tweets this period. Okay. And then this is sentiment analysis by Howard. Then based on the Howard literacy graph, it can be seen that the highest tweet occurred at 11 p.m. with a total of 2,881 tweets. The next is analysis of community habit detection of smart city. The first is positive response. This response illustrates the public's enthusiasm for renewal, improvement, and efficiency of the technology. The example of this label is India. And the second is natural response, the response of the community who accept the existence of smart city without considering its advantage or disadvantage. The third is negative response. This response can take the form of complaints, problems, and concerns from the community. The example of country is United States. And the last is time. The most active time for users to talk on Twitter about smart city is July 2019, and the average is 11 p.m. Okay, the next slide is conclusion. We have three conclusions right here. First is people in the United States are detected to have the habit of giving the most negative response regarding smart city, while India gets the highest positive response. The second is the topic always receives far more negative response than positive response. The percentage were 71% negative, 16% positive, and 13% neutral labels. And the third is the discussion of smart city in these countries can show that the smart city has been created, developed, and widely known by the public. Okay. In further research, the dataset in this study can be used to analyze the most discussed topics, analyze the types of emotion contained in tweets, and analyze the most influential figures in the smart city discussion. However, this study still has many weaknesses behind all the data and analysis presented. Therefore, critiques and suggestions are still very much needed for the development of this research to be even better in the future. Okay, and so that's a presentation from me. Thank you for your attention. We welcome questions from other presentation participants, and we'll try our best to explain again. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Rossi.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ria Siti. So, Miss, Miss.
Yes.
So, any question from the audience? So my name is in this paper, so it's not
Yeah.
not. But as a moderator, I should give the question due to another audience didn't give you the question. So, Miss Ria, in your conclusion that you mentioned that US is more than the India in perspective positive of the smart city. Yeah? We know that US and India is in different level of the health, what do you call, wealth, yeah. So US more than people is more than rich than India. So from that your conclusion, US is more perspective, but the India is, I think, the positive one too, is it?
Yeah.
So can you give us a deep figure out about these two countries that you very special mentioned in your conclusion related to your research? Thank you.
Okay. So the difference from the India and United States, I think it's very big difference because United States have good technology and good education, I think. So I think in this case, India has much enthusiasm because smart city is new technology in their country and it's very useful for them. Uh, on the other hand, the United States, I think they are more friendly about the technology and some new technology. So they're more like sensitive, I think. So they know more about the technology, the education, the research, and the others. So they know where's the error from technology or where's the weakness from technology. They a big critic, I think. So it's give the smart city topics a negative label. I think like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Ria.
Yeah.
I think why India is try to capture US in perspective of IT in smart city due to the manpower in India is now developed to more IT. So we know that the smart city in the backbone is the IT, is it? Internet infrastructure. Yeah. So that's why many people in India is talking tweet about the smart city because they try to implement the IT technology in the good environment city. Okay, very nice. Hope I hope or we hope that our country will do the same way to implement smart city. Okay, thank you, very nice.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Rossi,
Sorry. My mic is shut. Okay. On my hand, I have the schedule that mentioned that we should take a break 10 minutes before we can continue the presentation. But I offer you the presenter and the audience, such as Miss Dea, Mr. Muhammad Rinaldi, and Mr. Ricky Pratama. Do you want to break or do you want to continue this presentation? The benefit if we can continue, so we can finish early. Which one do you want? Break or continue the session?
For me, is anyone is already, I choose continue the section, sir.
Okay, continue.
If,
Yeah.
I'll choose to continue too.
Continue. Okay. Rinaldi. Oh, sudah. Rizky Pratama.
I choose continue.
All
also,
right.
sir.
Very nice choice. Okay. We can cut the data so we can continue. Okay. So the next presenter is, I don't know, this title, the paper with the title Flexible ISM Band Compact Size Antenna for Wearable of Body Wireless Communication. The author is Saros Ahmad, Muhammad Ihsanul Alim, Ihab Asal. No? Okay, they are not attend. Okay, for the next paper will be present by Miss Dea with the title is Design and Implementation of Telemedicine System Using Temperature Sensor based on wearable device with AIS encryption algorithm. So for Miss Dea, time and the place is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say thank you to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala because of His blessing. I'm allowed to be able to attend this opportunity to present the paper about design and implementation of telemedicine system using temperature sensor on wearable device with AIS encryption algorithm. With author M. Galih Prabowo, Wafian Dewata, Susi, Muhammad Hafiz Amrullah, Diaderli, Dwi Sulistiawati, and Denny Kurniawan. Let's start with introduction. Medical check-ups are useful for diagnosing the disease as early as possible. And if an abnormality is found, it can be treated immediately so that disease or complication do not occur. Examination carried out during medical check-ups include checks of body temperature, heart rate, and body weight. But during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's highly risky to visit the hospital for medical checkup due to the potential of getting infected by the virus. Therefore, the use of telemedicine can inhibit the spread of coronavirus by limiting the exposure of patients who are mildly ill to patients with more severe disease. And then with telemedicine problem requiring a system that ensure the security of the data, so that the solution we offer using AIS encryption algorithm. This paper has an objective. The first one is creating and implementing a telemedicine system on a temperature sensor based on wearable device, implementing the AIS encryption algorithm for sending body temperature data via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi network, investigating the accuracy of measuring body temperature from the system performance by measuring program processing time, and network performance from device to Android application and cloud server. With basic theory, Internet of Things, AIS encryption, temperature sensor, and wearable technology. IoT is a concept for connecting any device to another via Internet.
And as encryption, we used to encrypt the body temperature data and using temperature sensor MLX 90614. And this is based on wearable device so that it can be used anywhere. The following is the system design. The device has a system minimum ESP32, temperature sensor MLX 9016 and OLED. On the first design, temperature data will be sent to the cloud server via HTTP protocol from the device. On the second design, temperature data will be sent to the application via Bluetooth network from device. The following is a design result: device with acrylic cover, inside acrylic cover, and prototype of the wearable device. For measuring the performance of the system, the performance test parameters are device accuracy, comparing device to conventional thermometer, network performance, calculating delay to Android application and cloud server, as encryption delay using Micros function to calculate how long encryption process execute, program execution time using Micros function to calculate how long program execute. For evaluating the accuracy of body temperature sensor, a comparison is made between the data generated by infrared thermometer with the measurement error 1.5% and our telemedicine system. The comparison result between our telemedicine system and the infrared thermometer is shown in the figure. We measure the body temperature of 50 respondents using this DOS2 device by utilizing the root mean square error formulation. Our telemedicine device has 0.305 measurement error with respect to conventional thermometer. The time required for body temperature data from the sensor to the user's device and displayed through mobile application and stored in the cloud database is shown in the figure. The x-axis represent experiment types, which are delays of sending data from ESP32 to the cloud server with the key size of 128 bits and 256 bits. As for the y-axis represent the delay values in milliseconds. The delays of key size 128 bits are 17 milliseconds, 95.995 milliseconds, and 205.5 milliseconds for minimum, average, and maximum delay respectively. Meanwhile, the minimum, average, and maximum delays of key size 256 bits are 46.5 milliseconds, 113.12 milliseconds, and 351.5 milliseconds respectively. We use two scenarios where iOS encryption key length is 128 bits and 256 bits. The time required using iOS algorithm with Diffie-Hellman key exchange to encrypt body temperature value in microcontroller is shown in the figure. The iOS encryption delay of key size 128 bits with the minimum, average, and maximum delays are 78 microsecond, 201.39 microsecond, and 226 microsecond respectively. Meanwhile, the iOS encryption delay of key size 256 bits with the minimum, average, and maximum delays are 241 microsecond, 243.5 microsecond, and 326 microsecond respectively. For the computational performance analysis, we estimate how long each function of the program are running, which is shown in the figure. The x-axis represents computation types, and the y-axis represent the computation times in milliseconds. Computational function in ESP32 comprise 5 computational parts as follows. Cloud code init, which is the initialization of cloud connection, is the process of preparing variable for communication between ESP32 and cloud server. And then BTCon init, initialization of Bluetooth connection, process preparing variables for communication between ESP32 and mobile phone via Bluetooth. Information update is the process of sending temperature measurement to the code server. And then sensor reading is the process to read sensor values from MLX 90614. And then key generation is the process of generating public and private keys, including symmetric key for IS encryption in ESP32. Difficult init is the heaviest computational function in which the minimum, average, maximum are 5,049 milliseconds, 5,783 milliseconds, and 6,879 milliseconds respectively. Lastly, the most lightweight is sensor reading, in which the minimum, average, and maximum time are 1,409 microseconds, 1,443 microseconds, and 1,941 microseconds respectively. And then the conclusion of our research, the first one is we designed and implemented the telemedicine system for monitoring body temperature based on wearable device using IS encryption algorithm, which the user can monitor their body temperature every day by utilizing the temperature sensor that is connected to the MongoDB database via Wi-Fi and Android application via Bluetooth. Based on the comparison between our telemedicine system with the infrared thermometer, the root mean square error of our device is 0.305%. For network performance, the delay of sending data from the ESP32 to the cloud server with the 128 bits and 256 bits key size are 95.995 milliseconds and 113.02 milliseconds on average. As for the computational performance, computational times, the most significant function is the difficult init, in which the average delay is 5,783 milliseconds. And then this is the reference. I think that's all. Sorry if there are any mistake. Thank you for attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Dea. So any question from the audience?
Okay, sure. Please.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I want to ask a question, Ms. Dea, about key management mechanism that you are used in your design. How you implement the key management on your design? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I want to ask about key management. Which key you ask is the IS key?
Yes. The IS key, yeah. How you share or you store the key between client A to client B or between the client to server. Is it the key is stored in its device, or every action or every message sent, the key is also sent, or you have prepared the key at each device before?
The key itself is in every device.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Before you attend, at the beginning, I give some game rule for our session, that I only allow only one question for each presenter. So, Ms. Dea is already reached one question from the audience. So, I just closed the session of Ms. Dea. So, give an applause for Ms. Dea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Rossi, microphone.
Your silence, sir.
So sorry. Okay, for next presenter, it will be Mr. Muhammad Rizaldi. Okay, he will be present the paper with the title Amans or Amans. I think in Indonesia, is it?
Yeah,
Amans motorcycle plate detection application using Raspberry Pi 3. So for Mr. Muhammad Rizaldi, time and place is yours.
Is there any slide that I saw? Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Mr. Rossi as our moderator and the all audience. Today, I will present my team. I will explain about our papers with the titles Amans Plate Motorcycle Detection using Raspberry Pi 3. The authors are me, Muhammad Rizaldi, and my partner, Judah Ananda, and our lecturer supervisor, Mrs. Rida, and our second supervisor is Mr. Doman Newman Bogi. The contents are introduction, basic concept, work system, result and analysis, and conclusion. Introduction. Aman is our name programs that run its own Raspberry Pi 3 device that can detect valid license plates that violate the traffic rules. This is a program that has a working system based on the KAN algorithm and YOLO algorithm. The background, because one of the motorcycle violation that often occurs in Indonesia is using sidewalk facilities, so it's very dangerous to the pedestrian. This is of course also the damaging the existing sidewalks. For the components, we are only using two tools. The first one is Raspberry Pi 3, and the second one is the Logitech webcam. For the basic concept, that I already said, we are using YOLO and KAN algorithm. YOLO trains on full image and directly optimize detection performance. This unfilled model has several benefits operational methods of the object detection. After the system will be combined with KAN. In the Amans program, YOLO is used to detect plates, but while KAN is used to read the plate letters with the dataset that has been implemented. The work system. This is the flowchart our programs. The first one, when we are start, the first one that we have to do is when the real object is allowing, the program will auto blurring and thresholding the image, the camera, and after that the programs will capturing frame continuously from the camera. If the plate is detection, then continue to the cutting the picture only for the plate only. After that, the KAN will recognize the letter of the plate, and after that after they get the plate letters, it will continue to dataset our datasets. After that, we have they will send the text and image output, then automatically send to our database. For dataset, the object for the training program is collection of image of piece of valid license plate that have the same font type as issued by Indonesian Police. So the dataset that we are using, the first we have to take a picture of our license plate in Indonesia, and then we are cutting the plate by manually with only for the letters from the 0 until 9, and also the letters A until Z, and also we have to put the same length and same width in one picture and the others. This is the placement tool. This is the important thing before we start the program. We have to know the rules about the placement tools. The placement, we have to place the programs along zebra cross, set walls, and illegal parking lots. The valid plate with clear shapes and colors. So we have to make sure the place is in good condition. And the last one is must be good lighting around the place environment. For the system accuracy, we are using the accuracy is equal to number of correct tests divided to total number of trials times 100%. Result and analysis. Aman filters has three features. The first one is license plate detection with image. Second, letter recognition letter on license plate with image. The last one is detection license plate in real time. The first one, license plate detection with image. Aman has the features of connection that detection of valid playthrough in image media. So in this case, we are put the media and input the media to the system manually, but in this process, with an image that there is Aman plate chef will be able to detect with a short amount of time with range of 10 until 15 seconds. And the second one, we are the features is license plates letter recognition with image. For the letter recognition is still bad because several effects. The first one is there are still very few sample of dataset, because in our dataset we only put 30 example for each example of dataset. So it means we have a three example dataset for or 0. We have 30 dataset of A until Z. This is the process that after the Aman is cutting the plate only, the KAN will recognize the result. But as you can see in the table, there are still a very bad recognition letters because maybe they are reset the effects. The first one is for image capture, and then very many noise in image capture, and also the dataset is not too many. Detection recognition license plate real time. Aman will be connected to webcam camera from Raspberry Pi 3 and detect on the object capture on the webcam camera that has been already programmed. But there are some conditions must be considered in real-time mode R. The first one is bright lightning that I also said. Position of the Aman have to place it with a tolerance angle of 45 degree on x-axis and y-axis. The minimum catch distance is only 1 until 4 meters. 1 until 4 meters, the system will be processed and can catch the object. And the processing time, it take more time until from 2 until 4 minutes. This is the example that process when the Aman is already captured catched the object. The first that I already called it Nopal K4IBO4. It means the whole picture of the file launcher. But in their cropped JPG, it's only cutting plate. The KAN will learn about the cropped file JPG. And this is the recognition license plate in real time. This I take two condition. The left one is low light condition, and the right one is daylight condition. Is good condition. As you can see, the low light has a poor result is, but in daylight is more better result is. This is our process. For the delay process, it took very much delay because we know the Raspberry Pi has a minimum specification of the tools. So the average time is 162.6 seconds for the average process time. And for the camera angle, as you can see, it can be catch from 30 until 90 degrees from the x-axis and y-axis. But for the speed capture capability, the AMANS tool only can catch the object from 0 until 5 km/h. After after 5 km/h, it cannot detect the object. We are now AMAN has many weakness of the processing. So the things we do is first we have to line place with the specific light. That minimum is 180 lux and maximum is 6,000 lux. But the average daily lux is 900 lux until 4,500 lux. And also we have to change the datasets manually again with from the original image to threshold image. So after that we got the success rate system in the daylight. From the 23 trials, from the 30 trials we have 23 trials success. So the success rate is 76.6% in daylight, but in the low light, from the 30 total trials, we have only 11 trial success. That we have only 36.6 success rate system. This is our website implementation. Yeah, written using Python and HTML. My partner is made this the website. And this one is the database implementation. So if there are new numbers that catched by the AMANS, it will be make the new folder. But if they have same numbers, it will be automatically added to the folder of the violation. The folder of violation will be include of the time of the violation and the picture of violation. Conclusion. The first one, the AMAN technology program requires specific greater than Raspberry Pi 3. And the second one is the AMAN program has a good plate shape detection, only for plate shape detection. The AMAN program is not good in terms of recording letters and numbers of valence license plate. Good placement and lightning are needed so that AMAN program can work optimally. Many old dataset is very vague to learning of the AMAN system. To create durable data collection, valence plate number text from Raspberry Pi has to match with the data in the database. Otherwise, there will be an error in data placement. Maybe that's all for our presentation, for my presentation. Thank you very much for our audience.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Muhammad Krishnaldi. So any question from the audience about the paper that presented by Mr. Muhammad? Any question? It's back to me, Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I saw you in your first your flow chart, is it?
Yes.
That your camera took the plate number, and then the right side, I saw blur and numbering, is it?
Blurring and folding.
So the blurring for that you use is for the environment, or that we call it front and back and front, is it?
Yes. The
blurring that you use on your research is using Gaussian method, or is the library that you use?
We use the Gaussian blurring, but in implementation we only use I forgot if we are with 3 matrix 3.3, 3 times 3 Gaussian blurring. So the purpose is to decrease the number of noises of the image, so the system can read optimally.
I forgot that in image they call it when we segmentation, is it?
Yes.
The object that we want, they call it, I forgot that. And the object that we don't want, they call it the back apa? Forgot lah. So, but I saw in your presentation that the system does have a limitation because they recognize the plate 2 until 4 minutes. Is it?
Yes.
That is for the training the first time or after the training. So I mean,
yes,
when the motorcycle is come to your camera, the system needs 2 until 4 minutes to detect, to create folder and so on. Or
yes, sir.
After the first attempt, the second attempt, the third attempt, the motorcycle, it will be took the same time or not?
So the number of the process time, it take for the real time, it take 2 until 4 minutes until from the motorcycle is loaded to the camera. After if there are 2 until 4 minutes is the process is we catch the tools. If for there 4 minutes, it means the system cannot catch the object. The first one because maybe the plate is not good condition, or maybe got the broken. After that, maybe the speed of catchability is so fast, or the motorcycle is so fast, because we know the Raspberry Pi has a minimum specification. Because of that, when we are try to running this process, running this in real time, our Raspberry Pi is already taken. The memory process is 98%. So it almost the limit of the memory uses.
Okay, that's the limitation of Raspberry.
Yeah, sir.
But we hope with the development of the hardware and the program, the Raspberry can catch up the technology. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Very nice research, Mr. Muhammad Usnaldi.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Now for the last presentation for today, it will be Mr. Ricky Pratama. Ricky, is it? Your name Ricky or Rick Yaji? I saw your name Rick Yaji.
Yeah, my name Ricky Yaji Pratama, sir. As I written in
the
maybe there are missing words in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Aji is your middle name, is it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Perfect guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So for Mr. Ricky Aji Pratama, he will be present the paper with the title Privacy and Security Assessment on Mobile Health Android Application COVID-19 Handling Apps. Okay?
Yep.
For Mr. Ricky Aji Pratama, time and place is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much for Mr. Rossi Passarella as the moderator for this section. And also I say thank you very much for all the committee for this conference that has allowed me to present my project about this paper. First, I will share my presentation. Okay.
Mr. Aji, what happened with your face?
Maybe it's about my computer specification VGA card, sir.
Okay.
It's too old for this era, my laptop. Okay, is my screen has shown to all audience? Okay. Yeah, my paper's title is Privacy and Security Assessment on Mobile Health Applications. We took case on mobile COVID-19 handling application in Indonesia. The author for this paper beside me is Mr. Dr. Muhammad Salman from Faculty of Engineering at Universitas Indonesia. He is my supervisor for this project. As the intermezzo, sir, I want to tell about the paradigm about security and privacy. Among of us, I think, still confused about the term between security and privacy. There is a quite interesting article from Forbes. It's writes about security is not privacy. What it means? I can little elaborate for give an example. Usually, if we want to get the services from the bank, for example, we have to register. We have to apply some our personal data to the bank, like our number, our personal identity, such as citizens ID, also our family members. There are three cases which will can be happen. The first, the security and privacy is still maintained well by the bank if our data is still secure and the bank did not share to other parties without our permissions. And the second cases is our data is still secure by such a lot of efforts from the bank, such as the bank placed such firewalls, IPS, and other security stuff devices for securing our data. But besides that, the bank also share our data to other parties without our permission. In case name security is in place, but privacy is not in place. And the third cases is there is no both of security and privacy. It can happen if our data at the bank has been compromised and there are available on such as dark web or our data hit as data breach incident. Because of hacker can compromise the system or the server of the bank and stole our data and then upload to the dark web and sell our data as a data breach incident. So we can say terminology that data security is possible without data privacy, but data privacy is not possible without data security. So in a simple ways, privacy, there is no privacy without security. This is our background for this paper. The first is the growth of mobile Android applications. As we have known that there is or there are 20.5 million apps in Play Stores and 1.8 million apps in Apple Store. Also, there are about 205 billion apps has been downloaded by users. The data from NowSecure say that the highest risk is in the majority highest risk is on Android application than Apple application. So in this paper, I choose for the mobile application on Android. And then the second background for this paper is about the impact from the COVID-19 pandemic that has been hit around the world nowadays. One of the impact is we have to change our habit to more digitalized. It can be shown the data from this chart. Since February, there are a significant development for the internet traffic in several countries. The data took from the UK, France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. This is shown that the pandemic impact has been make us to activity to work in a digitalized. And the third background also is about security and privacy data issues. That if the mobile application also can also make the risk factor more broad way. So the cyber attack also can grow up like the usage of the digitalized. There is some Android application component. There is activities, services, broadcast receivers, and content providers. And WhatsApp Mobile Top 10. In this assessment methodology, I use NIST framework for our assessment methodology, and then I utilize using best practices such as WhatsApp Mobile Top 10 and analyze the consequences of the privacy within the permission of the application. For our WhatsApp Mobile Top 10, there are 10 categories of risk in mobile. The first is improper platform usage, the second insecure data storage, and the third insecure communication, insecure authentication, insufficient cryptography, insecure authorization, client code quality, code tampering, reverse engineering, and the 10 is extraneous functionality. The 10 risk category encompass all this risk security on the mobile apps. Our methodology for the device, I use my Android mobile device, LG version G6, and the Android OS version is version 6, and I have routed the mobile device, and the tools I use Burp Suite, Drowser, MobSF, and Frida. MobSF is mobile security framework tools that is developed by Ajin Abraham from India. And the samples of the COVID-19 handling apps are used 3 applications in Indonesia. Here is the assessment methodology that I use. As I said before, I adopt from the NIST special publication number 800-115, the NIST standards about assessment and information technology security testing. The first, when we select the application, we go to planning phase. At the planning phases is the critical phase before continue to the next step. As on this step, we perform some information gathering to identify and collect information that we needed in the execution phase. The information such as application developer information, Android OS support version, privacy link, and application permission. At the execution page, we identify vulnerabilities and validate them when appropriate. This phase is comprised into the two specific testing approach. There are static analysis and dynamic analysis. Static analysis we perform without execute the application, and dynamic analysis it performs through the application is being executed. And the post-execution phase is the final steps among all of the assessment steps, which after we get vulnerabilities at the second phase, and then we analyze, also we correlate to risk category in OWASP Mobile Top 10. Then we analyze the privacy issues correlated to the vulnerabilities. This is the methodology in detail for the static analysis. We use tools MobSF to perform this static analysis, and then this methodology designed for dynamic analysis. We use Drowser, and we use Burp Suite for network intercept. For the results, our project, there are several security issues as the OWASP Mobile Top 10 categories. For insecure data storage, we found two issues which has a medium risk level. This risk level I get from the calculation using CVSS scoring. CVSS method. CVSS is one of the scoring method in security. And the second OWASP risk category is insufficient cryptography. We found two issues which risk level high, and the third risk category for poor code quality, we found one issues which risk level medium. And the insecure communication, we have found 4 issues high risk level. For insecure communication, found that most of the application didn't implement the HTTPS net connection, or didn't implement the secure connection well. So there are 4 issues for this level. And about the privacy analysis, we found 15 issues that has normal permission. Normal permissions means that the permissions didn't make the security issues or privacy issues for the users, but there are 17 issues at dangerous permissions. Dangerous permissions such as it has access to audio, to camera, but the application didn't function to permission in normal ways. Also, the 3 apps has published their privacy policy in a proper ways. As the conclusions, there are security issues and privacy issues. In security issues, we found there are still code quality issues on the mobile app application that can lead to security issues. The trivial cases such as the hard-coded of the password or the hard code or such secrecy message. And the second issue is about network data transmissions, and the third is about cryptography algorithm usage. Cryptography algorithm usage issues is when the developer still use the weak algorithm, such as for the hash, we know MD5, which is weak the algorithm for the hashing. And the privacy issues, there are still 17 dangerous permissions which lead to privacy violation of users, such as audio, contact, and etc. Thank you, sir, for the close mark of my presentation. There is a good quote from Bruce Schneier. He is a cryptographer. He says that if someone steals your password, you can change it. But if someone steals your thumbprint, you cannot get a new thumb. This is a failure mode nowadays about privacy in a digital era. Thank you, sir, for this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ricky Aji. So the privacy and security is very big issue in our country. Any question from audience? Hello. Can anybody help me for asking Mr. Ricky Aji? So, no one want to help me. Okay, Mr. Ricky Pratama, Aji Pratama. Your setup experiment is by installing the apps into the Android application, is it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You're presenting that you are using the apps from Google Play or from Google, the APK.
Yeah. I use the APK from the Google Play Store.
No, I mean you are downloading from the Google Play, or you have a application .apk. This is different, is it? Like trust untrusted.
The first I download the application sample to my device, sir. And then with ADB command, I extract the application into APK file. So even we can directly download the APK from like APK Mirror, etc. But I don't do this because I want to do with the origin APK that I downloaded through my device from the Google Play Store. So I can tell you that first I download the application to my device and I use the ADB command to extract the APK file from the application that I have downloaded from the Google Play Store, sir.
So how many applications that you use in your experiment?
I just use 3 applications, sir.
3 applications.
3 applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last question.
I cannot the name. Yeah.
Last question.
The name of. Yep.
Please go to the conclusion. I show 17 There are 17 dangerous permission, is it?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So I did not got the figure out the 17 dangerous permission. Is it from which application? Because you are using 3 applications. Is it from one application, the pop-up 70 dangerous, and 2 applications without dangerous, or cumulative from these 3 applications? Because I didn't read your paper, I just saw your presentation.
Yes, sir. It's a cumulative from the 3 application. Why I do this? Because the 3 apps is the same apps. It's for handling COVID-19, for tracing, and for reporting, sir. So if there are some permissions that as the normal behavior of the application do, such as audio permissions, it's dangerous permission, sir.
So can I conclude your presentation, Mr. Ricky?
Yes, sir.
If we want to use Google Apps, it means we are in dangerous area because our privacy is open for those who want to use it.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
Okay. Please give the applause for Mr. Ricky Anji Pratama. Okay. Today, all of you is very kind and very nice, sitting, quieting, and listening. So I hope tomorrow we can more interactive, and for those who already present today, I'm open my warm hand to all of you for attending for the last presentation tomorrow, which are Miss Evi Yuliza, Siska Afiani, Ilfiko Sonata, Alfian Ma'arif. The second session will be conducted at 1 p.m. I think 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. Okay. Okay, enough for today. Thank you very much, and hope you will be in the good health and shape. Thank you very much, and I close with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.